Hey guys, first of all, I'd like to say thanks to all my new Patreons or patrons, whichever it is. Richard, I really appreciate you supporting me with your patronage. Jewel, the same thing. I'm not gonna say your guys' last names, but I really appreciate it. And Nathan, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. I'll be coming out with some rewards soon, just as soon as I figure out how I can manage them. Excuse me. So that patrons can access things. I don't know how to do any of that, but support me on Patreon, you guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you can't afford to support me on Patreon, I completely understand. But if you could share my videos, I'd appreciate that too. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get into a final film study on Shawn Porter versus Danny Garcia, and kind of the flow of the fight. Now, I'm not going to talk about any of the inside fighting. I don't think that the fight is going to be won on the inside. I think that that's Shawn Porter's domain. If the fight gets to the inside, Shawn Porter wins. Easy peasy. But what we're going to talk about are how he's going to get there. So first we're going to watch a little bit of Danny Garcia, and I want you to pay attention to how static he is. He does a little bit of moving, right? A little bit of moving with his lead hand, right, as you see. But see how that first punch comes and he's able to get under that hook really easily? Because he's in his static kind of defense, right? His guard, I call it, right? You keep your hands up and that's your guard. But he doesn't have a very active guard because he's waiting for you to throw the first punch. Right there, he shoots a jab. It's not really layered. If you're not familiar with what layers are, check the description. I have a video on layering your offense and what that means. But just watch how static he is, kind of, giving him like a little bit of different looks. But for the most part, his head is on the line. He's not moving a lot. And the reason is because he's looking to counterpunch. He's looking for when you to throw your first punch, he's looking to be able to counter you. Now, the reason that this is a bad idea is, let's see, is because it puts you into a position where you're reactive with your opponent. And your opponent basically has control over you. What I mean by that is, right here, Keith Thurman shoots out that flicking hook, right? Kind of feinting a hook, and he gets Danny Garcia to turn away from it. Now, Danny Garcia is doing the right thing, right? You see the hook, you get your guard up, and you turn away from the hook. But he's only using that hook to get Danny to turn away from the hook and into the right hand. As you see, he takes a step forward and throws that right hand. Now, Danny Garcia defends it perfectly. It even looks like he almost lands his left hook counter, right? But he's reacting to Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman feels comfortable throwing this combination at him because of his inactive guard, because of how static he is. And it basically means, as you see here, right, Keith Thurman is the one going first, or making Danny Garcia commit to the first punch. As you can see, and he was able to get Danny Garcia to go first and walk him into this left hook. Danny Garcia lands his own right hand too, but that's not really the point. Now again, feinting with the jab, but because Danny Garcia doesn't have any control over his opponent, he's not feinting, he's not probing, he's not using an active guard, Keith Thurman feels okay throwing these shots, and Danny Garcia has to respect them. Now, as you see here, Keith Thurman shoots this jab, right, and Danny Garcia goes to parry it, right, or catch it, and that opens him up to this right hand to the body, right, and then right after, as we see here, he goes to parry and catch the jab because he has no control over Keith Thurman. He's open for this right hand and then open for this left hook right after because Keith Thurman is the one controlling Danny Garcia. He's the one saying, hey, I want you to do this. And the way that he gets him to do that is by probing with that jab, right? By shooting that jab out there, Danny Garcia is looking to counter, and he has to respect that jab. So he winds up getting caught with those shots. Again, Keith Thurman getting Danny Garcia to go first and bait the counters really easily. Now, Danny Garcia does do a good job sometimes of getting that hook in there regardless, right? Knowing that even though that one's kind of like more like a jab, it's kind of a cross because he knows Keith Thurman's only looking to land the right hand. But the idea here is that Keith Thurman because the lack of an active guard, Keith Thurman is able to capitalize on the counters much easier than Danny Garcia is able to counter Keith Thurman. Now here, again, we have that same style. Keith Thurman feints the jab, and Danny Garcia goes to catch it, right? And then opens him up for the right hand. And the reason that this is so effective against Danny Garcia is because Danny Garcia is not feinting, he's not probing. It's because of all the stuff that's going on right here in the beginning of the clip. That Keith Thurman has complete control of Danny Garcia because Danny Garcia is not feinting, he's not probing, and he's not looking to control Keith Thurman, right? You want to be the one telling your opponent what to do, and you do that with your punches and with your probes and with your feints. Every time you feint your opponent and you reacted, you told him to do that. Now, the reason that this is so important is because Shawn Porter is fantastic at feinting. Look at him work his way in here, right here, and get under the hook. We know that Danny Garcia is going to be countering, and mainly with that hook. And look at how easily Shawn Porter is able to get through there by doing the same thing that Keith Thurman did, shooting that jab out there, and then rolling the hook, and then coming in, right? Shawn Porter, or Danny Garcia, or Adrian Broner does a good job of tying him up there, but again, that's not really the point. Again, Shawn Porter is the one feinting Adrian Broner here, getting him to go first, getting under the hook, and then working his way inside, which is where we know exactly where he wants to be and where he's going to be the most effective. So this entire fight is going to be based on whether or not Shawn Porter can get around that left hook and get to Danny Garcia on the inside. Again, shooting the jab, getting under what could have been a hook there, and working his way inside. Now, I think this is, oh yeah, and then again, this is the same feint that Keith Thurman almost knocked Danny Garcia down with. And we'll get a better look at it right here. Whoops. Where is it? You gonna do me like that, film? Come on, why are you gonna do me like that? Right here. So Keith Thurman comes in with that feint of the jab, right? Danny Garcia goes to catch it. Boom. And then Keith Thurman goes over the top with the right hand. As we saw, he's trying to counter with the left hook. Shawn Porter does exactly the same thing to Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, it doesn't wind up landing on Adrian Broner. He turns away from the shot. And Shawn Porter's a little more wide than Keith Thurman is. But the idea is the same, is that that's going to be a very effective strategy for Shawn Porter as he's able to get his opponent to go first and open up to the counter punches. Now, again, getting under the hook, but one thing I want to point out is look at when he feints and he comes under. Look at how far away his hand is from his chin. Sometimes Shawn Porter gets a little reckless. You know, I think he's been doing better in his more recent fights, but it's not impossible to catch him with the hook, even if he knows it's coming. Now, we haven't talked about this yet, but let's go ahead and talk about it right now. Another thing that Danny Garcia has a problem with is going first. When he's the one setting his offense up, he fights on a very simple timing, right? Watch him lean forward. He's going to lean forward on that front foot and then take this like stabbing jab to the body, right? But Keith Thurman's able to parry it, take most of the mustard off of it, and Danny Garcia doesn't hide his offense very well. Again, he doesn't have an active guard. He's not feinting. He's not probing. He's not controlling his opponent. So Keith Thurman is able to figure out, oh, he's going to step forward. He's going to step forward and jab, and Keith Thurman's able to counter him, slip that jab, and then go over the top with the right hand. The right hand doesn't land, but the idea here is that when Danny Garcia goes first, he doesn't always feint. As we see here, Keith Thurman is able to get away from this jab very easily because Danny Garcia rocks forward on that front foot, and then rocks forward on that front foot, and Keith Thurman sees that jab coming from a mile away because every time Danny Garcia rocks forward on that front foot, that's the timing that he's going to be throwing his shots. As you see, Keith Thurman tries to time him right there, right? Rocks forward. Keith Thurman's timing him, feinting him when he rocks forward to stop him from being active. Now, again, Danny Garcia not layering his offense very well, just kind of exploding out of his guard and then meeting himself with a counterpunch there. So we can see that counterpunches work very effective against Danny Garcia because he doesn't do what Porter does with the feints and the angle changes and the head movement and the very active guard. As we see, there's a very stark difference in the effectiveness of Danny Garcia when he's coming forward or when he's leading. Now, I do like this from him a lot, changing it up on Keith Thurman here and going to the body instead of going to the head because the head punches were getting timed so well. But as you can see here, Danny Garcia goes first, shoots that jab, it gets parried, and Keith Thurman feels so comfortable coming and following up with that right hand, he's able to follow him back with that shot, go over the top with the shot right there, counter him to the body here, boom, counter him when he goes to the body there, and land a bunch of other shots. So again, Danny Garcia doesn't have the same feinting, the same layering, the same ability to hide his punches that we've seen from Shawn Porter, as we see here, right? Coming in, feinting, going to the head with the right hand, but feinting low first, feinting again low there, getting under the hook, and coming in with his own shots. But as we see what Shawn Porter's style of defense is, as we notice in this clip, Adrian Broner goes first with the jab, and Porter's able to slip it and then go to the body with his own left hook, right? That lands. Although he almost gets caught with the left hook there, we can see that he has a very similar style of defense that Keith Thurman was employing against Danny Garcia that was so effective. Again, slipping the jab and coming to the body with the right hand. And then going upstairs with the left hook. Not super effective, right? He's not landing them. There aren't very many clips of Adrian Broner getting to go first in that fight, but we can see that it's a very similar style of offense. So far, on the outside, I give all of the advantages to Shawn Porter. I think that he's going to be able to work his way in. He's going to be able to bait Garcia, get Garcia to go first, slip, roll, and do whatever he needs to do to get on the inside and really start working. Now, even though Garcia, and another thing that I want to talk about is adjustments, right? Now, right here, Shawn Porter is getting caught with the left hook right there. Boom, right on the chin. And notice the timestamp is 2:47 right now of the second round, right? Very next clip, Shawn Porter comes forward, or Adrian Broner goes forward, catches him with the left hook there, pivots back, and then catches him with the left hook there, right? And Shawn Porter's like, oh, what's he doing? He's catching me with the left hook. What the heck? Why is that timestamp? Oh, the timestamp's a little off. I'm sorry, guys. So that was right in the second round. And then immediately, Shawn Porter starts making adjustments right after that. That was supposed to be much sooner in the round. But as you can see here, when he comes forward, getting under the hook, making adjustments, and being able to get under the hook so that he can get to that body. So even though he's going to take shots early, he's going to make adjustments to get under the hook later. And I think that's where Shawn Porter's strengths really lie. Because as we saw, he is susceptible to the left hook early. And I think that that's going to be Garcia's biggest opportunity, as we see here. Keith Thurman having the similar problem. Boom, almost getting caught with the left hook there. Almost getting caught with the left hook there. But I think Danny Garcia's best chance is catching Shawn Porter early before Shawn Porter makes the adjustment. And to be honest, if Shawn Porter doesn't know that the left hook's coming after watching any fight of Danny Garcia, he deserves to get knocked out. Everyone knows the left hook is coming. Everyone knows Danny Garcia has good timing. But the question here that I find myself asking, is Danny Garcia going to be able to do better than Adrian Broner did? And how differently do you see the fight going between him and Adrian Broner? I think Adrian Broner's faster. I think Adrian Broner is a better fighter, a better boxer. He has better movement. And Shawn Porter was able to smash him. The only difference is that I think that Garcia probably has a little bit more power with his shots than Adrian Broner does. I think he sits down on his shots better. He's got better hip placement. And he's able to get more power into his right hand. And I think more power in his left hook as well. Yeah, but I think that Adrian Broner is going to fight or I think Danny Garcia is going to fight basically the same fight that Adrian Broner did, but I don't even think he's going to be able to do as good of a job as Adrian Broner did. Now, the last few notes, and I didn't include any tape of it for Danny Garcia, but I want to show some of the keys to victory for Danny Garcia if he's going to win this fight. And the first one is getting off the line with Shawn Porter. Do not stay on the line with Shawn Porter. He's going to trap you there. Even if you're not against the ropes, he's going to trap you on the line with him. He's going to bully you into landing lots of punches. You need to move off the line. Again, land your combinations, pivot out. Notice how he throws this right hand, transfers all his weight to his left leg. Then he throws this left hook, transfers all his weight to his right leg, and then he follows his hips and pivots off the line. And Shawn Porter is not able to counter him. He's not able to bully him or land any shots on the inside. Or, getting away from the hook here, and then how he pivots off the line there, and Shawn Porter can't even bullet his way in to land shots. So early in the fight, I give Danny Garcia a decent opportunity or a decent chance to land the left hook and to be effective with it. Like right there in the first round, catching him with kind of that cross. But after Shawn Porter realizes that Danny Garcia is only relying on the left hook, I think that Shawn Porter is going to be able to get away from it all night long. Whoops, as we see here, I think he's going to be able to get away from it all night long, use head movement, use slipping, rolling, and get away from the counters, get away from the left hook counters, and fight Danny Garcia on the inside, even though he's beating him on the outside. I think that he's gonna win both games, and I don't think that Danny Garcia is gonna look as good as Adrian Broner did, even though he didn't look good against Shawn Porter either. And I think that this one might wind up being a knockout loss for Danny Garcia. But who knows, as we see in this clip right here, Keith Thurman caught him with some bombs, and Keith Thurman hits pretty hard. Again, that was 3 consecutive shots right there in a row. That left hook right there, look at it snap his head around, boom, right? And then right after, he eats that huge right hand, almost goes down, and then almost goes down from this right hand here too, but gets his composure. So we know that Danny has a chin. I definitely think it's going to be tested in this fight. But this is going to be a great fight, you guys. So my prediction, my prediction is Danny Garcia's shot to win the fight, I think, is early, catching Shawn Porter with the left hook early. I think the mid rounds are going to be, he's going to get completely smashed by Porter. And then I think maybe late in the fight, if Shawn Porter gets a little relaxed, I think that he did against Porter, or against Broner, and got dropped in the 11th, maybe the 12th. I think that the same thing happened against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman kind of caught him late in the fight as well. It might have been in the middle rounds, I'm not sure, but Porter kind of has that, oh, I know what I'm doing, I have the game plan, just continue, rinse, recycle, repeat, right? Kind of like Kovalev did against Eleider Alvarez. Rinse, lather, rinse, repeat. Is that what it is? Man, I don't know, man. And then Eleider Alvarez was able to change the tune-up on him and knock Kovalev out. And I think that Danny Garcia has a decent chance of getting him late, a decent chance of getting him early, but my pick is like 80%, 90% Shawn Porter to smash Danny Garcia. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Support me on Patreon if you can. Support responsibly. And yeah, let me know what you guys' picks are. It surprises me that people think this is a 50-50 fight when I think that Danny Garcia is going to fight a similar fight as Adrian Broner, but I don't think he's as good as Adrian Broner. And Adrian Broner kind of got shut out, except for the knockdown. So we'll see how it goes. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, thanks, guys.